clever, aren't they? Like, our last speaker actually got a standing ovation. Very, very clever indeed. And the cleverness continues as we now move to our next speaker, Bianca, who's going to be talking about how hungry are you? But before you begin, I think we should have made you the very last speaker because we're getting close to dinner time. So the question is, how hungry are you? A huge round of applause.
The longest relationship that you have in your life will be the relationship that you have with food. Today I'm going to share one simple idea, just one idea. And if you truly embrace this idea, I can guarantee you that it will change the way that you view your relationship with food. Hi, my name's Bianca, and I run a company called Freedom from Food, which is an eating disorder recovery centre. And today I want to share a story with you, which might just demonstrate a little bit about the work that I do. So, I want to talk about a 10-year-old girl that I once knew. Now this 10-year-old girl, she was not unlike many 10-year-old girls that you probably know or have known in your lifetime. She was creative. She really loved drawing and painting and making things with her hands. She loved reading and writing, and she was the kind of girl that everybody liked. You know, she had a couple of close friends. She didn't get bullied or anything like that. One of her favourite things to do actually was gymnastics. She joined a gymnastics team when she was about 7 or 8, and it was something that she really excelled in. She found that she was naturally flexible, and she enjoyed just finding out what her body could do and rising to those challenges. But you know, when she was about 10, she started to realise that she was a bit different. She started to realise that she didn't quite fit in, maybe. And then came that fateful day. That fateful day where, at the end of gymnastics class, all the girls are huddling around together in the change room. And they decide that she is the fattest girl in the class. Fat. Wow. Fat's not a descriptive word, is it? It's not like saying you're tall. It's not like saying you've got brown hair or you've got blue eyes. Fat is a loaded word. When you hear that you're fat, especially as a girl or as a woman, you know that that is the worst thing that you could be. The number one insult. Fat means that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that you're not pretty enough, that people aren't going to want you, that you're not desirable, that we just want you out of the way. You need to shrink yourself. And even as a 10-year-old girl, with her naive little mind, somehow she still knew that message. You know, she probably couldn't really articulate it, I don't think, but she knew what those words meant. And so she decided that she had a strategy. You know, she'd been flipping through magazines, listening to all the adults in her life talking, watching TV. And she decided that she had a strategy. So she could just start skipping meals. You know, she'd noticed that other people would control what they ate in order to control or manipulate their bodies. So she did just that. Just sporadically, on the occasional basis, you know, just throwing lunch in the bin secretly. And that felt quite powerful. She thought, I don't need to eat. I don't need to feel the way that people are telling me I should feel. Now that continued on for a few years, and of course this 10-year-old girl, she slowly ticked along, became a 15-year-old girl. And we've all had this experience. our first heartbreak. You remember what that's like, don't you? Hard for anyone to deal with at any age. And so this 15-year-old girl, she remembered, she had this voice that popped up and said, you feel like this. Remember that old friend? Remember that old little secret? That powerful thing that made you feel so in control? It's still here. We got you. And so this 15-year-old girl, she doubled down at that point. And day after day, week after week, she continued. She'd throw the lunch in the bin. She'd pretend that she'd have breakfast, but she wouldn't. She might lie about not being hungry at dinner or say that she'd already eaten. Lots of secrecy. And of course, eventually people started to notice she was losing weight, of course. And here's the real clincher of the story. She was praised. How are you losing this weight? You look fantastic. The girls at school were jealous. I want to look like you. How can I be thin like you? The boys were talking to her when they hadn't done beforehand. It was amazing. Now I'm going to cut this story short because you may have already gathered that this is my story. But equally, this could be anybody's story. This could be your daughter's story. This could be your friend's story. This could be your son's story. Because yes, boys get eating disorders as well. This could be somebody that you love that experiences this relationship with food and this relationship with themselves. You know, statistics tell us that somewhere between 4 to 9% of people in Australia will develop an eating disorder at some point in time. That might sound relatively low, but I'm going to level with you here. It's actually much higher than that. Because as a 15-year-old girl, there is an 80% chance that you will have already been on a diet. There is an 80% chance that a 15-year-old girl will have looked in the mirror and said, not good enough. This has to change. Just let that sink in for a moment. You know, consistently, year after year, studies show that within the top 3, if not the #1 concern for teenagers around Australia, and perhaps around a lot of the world, is body image. Body image, of all things, that would be the most important thing. What sort of world do we live in where that is the most important thing? You know, I want to share another story. So, I'm an auntie, which is a fantastic role. I love it. And I have a little niece, Georgia. She's about 3 now, but it was a year or 2 ago that I was babysitting her. And so she was about 18 months old or so. And she just had a bath. And I was sitting on her bedroom floor waiting for her to come over so I could get her dressed. And she's running around and she gets this glimpse of herself in the full-length mirror there. And there was just this moment in time where she looked at herself and she looked at me. And she just had this expression of joy, this expression of curiosity and playfulness and just fun and laughter. And it was such a precious moment. I will remember that. But at the same time, you know, I felt really sad. Because I knew that it wouldn't be too long before she didn't look at herself that way. It wouldn't be too long before she started to tell herself the messages that I told myself. You know, the thing is that these messages, we're not born with them. We're not born hating ourselves. We're not born telling ourselves that we're not good enough. We learn these messages. Our society teaches us these messages. So we really need to stop and think about the messages that we're putting out there in such subtle ways. And here's the bit where it really fires me up a bit, maybe you can tell. I do get angry. I do get angry about how we speak about our bodies. Everybody. How we talk about weight loss and weight gain as if there's some sort of value equivalence. There's not. You know, in my clinic, I've got a small strategy here, and this is something that I want to give to you today. This is the ABC of recovery. And I'm not going to pretend like this is all you need to do in order to recover from an eating disorder, because of course not, it's much more complex than that. But this just gives you a snapshot of the kind of work that I'm doing with people. So A, acceptance. This is, of course, acceptance of yourself, but maybe even more importantly, acceptance of everybody. You know, I think that there's been a lot of conversation in recent years and decades about acceptance, and we know now that it's not okay to not accept somebody on the basis of their race or their religion, or even their sexual orientation or their gender identity. I think the last frontier of discrimination is size. We need to think about how we're looking at size and just the off-the-cuff remarks that people will say about people of different sizes. B is for boundaries. Boundaries which tell us that I'm not going to let what you say affect me. I'm not going to let your ideas come into me. I'm not going to put my ideas onto you as if they're true, because they're not. We all need boundaries of some sort, and I think that's so important when it comes to this body image work especially. And C. C is for compassion. Compassion for yourself, compassion for others. We don't know what road somebody else has walked on. We can't look at somebody and make any sort of correct assumption about what their state of health is, mental or physical. We can't know what path they have walked. If they've had illness, if they've had injury, if they've had mental health issues, we just don't know. This is the ABC that I start with recovery. And I wish that I could tell you that for me there was some big epiphany, that lightning came from the sky and that I just recovered, that I just got better, but no. You know, I could be as strong as I wanted to be within myself. And that happened in time. That absolutely happened. But of course, when you go back out into a society that keeps telling you that you're wrong and you're not good enough, it's very hard. Very hard, isn't it? So I want to ask you just this one question today. What would it be like if we didn't judge people on their size? And this one simple idea that I want to give you, that I mentioned at the start of the talk, this one simple idea is that eating is not hard. There's no such thing as an eating disorder. Eating is the easiest thing in the world. I don't know about you, but I love it now. Eating is the easiest thing in the world. We were born to do it. They were the first reflexes that we were born with. Eating is so easy. It is not dieting that is hard. It is not dieting in a world that tells you that that's what you should do that is hard. So I just want you to ponder that question. What would happen if you stopped dieting? What would happen if you didn't expect other people to do so? What would happen if you just accepted yourself, accepted other people for who they were? What would happen? I don't know. Thank you for listening.